The Tokoloshe, a creature from South African mythology, was once believed to be a mischievous spirit, invisible to all but children. However, as urban legends go, the story of the Tokoloshe has evolved, gaining a reputation as a sinister being that haunts the dreams of those who dare to acknowledge its existence. Late one night, Sarah, a young journalist, was poring over historical archives in the Johannesburg Public Library. She was researching local folklore for an article when she stumbled upon a dusty old book. Its cover was faded and the pages brittle, but the title caught her eye, The Haunting of the Tokoloshe. Sarah's curiosity was piqued. She flipped through the pages, her eyes widening at the chilling accounts of encounters with the Tokoloshe. As she read, a sense of dread began to creep over her, as though the very act of reading the stories was inviting the creature into her life. The following night, Sarah found herself plagued by strange noises in her apartment. At first, it was just the creaking of floorboards and the occasional rustling of leaves outside. But soon, the noises grew more sinister, whispers in the dark, footsteps that seemed to come from nowhere, and an inexplicable chill that settled over her room. Determined to uncover the truth, Sarah decided to dig deeper into the legend. She sought out experts in African folklore, interviewed locals, and even visited the sites of reported Tokoloshe sightings. The more she learned, the more she realized that the Tokoloshe was not just a story, it was a living, breathing entity that fed on fear and doubt. As Sarah's investigation continued, the disturbances in her apartment grew more frequent and more aggressive. Objects would move on their own, doors would slam shut without warning, and eerie shadows would flit across the walls. Sarah's once peaceful home had become a battleground for her sanity. One evening, while reviewing her notes, Sarah noticed something strange. In every account of a Tokoloshe encounter, the victims reported seeing a pair of glowing red eyes in the darkness. She dismissed it as a common hallucination, but that night, she experienced it for herself. Sarah awoke to the sound of scratching at her bedroom door. She froze, her heart pounding in her chest. The scratching grew louder, more insistent, until it stopped abruptly. She held her breath, straining to hear anything that might indicate what was on the other side. Then, she saw them, two glowing red eyes, staring at her from the darkness. She screamed, scrambling out of bed and fumbling for the light switch. When the room was flooded with light, the eyes were gone, but the sense of dread remained. Desperate for answers, Sarah turned to a traditional healer known for dealing with malevolent spirits. The healer, an elderly woman named Mama Busi, listened to Sarah's story with a grave expression. "The Tokoloshe is not a mere legend," Mama Busi said. "It is a creature of darkness, born from our fears and sustained by our belief. To banish it, you must face it head-on." Armed with this new knowledge, Sarah prepared herself for a confrontation with the Tokoloshe. She gathered protective charms, saged her apartment, and recited incantations to ward off evil spirits. That night, Sarah sat in her apartment, waiting for the Tokoloshe to appear. The air was thick with tension, and every creak and whisper seemed to amplify the dread in her heart. She kept her eyes fixed on the shadows, waiting for the telltale glow of red eyes. The hours ticked by, and just when she began to lose hope, she saw them, the eyes. They were closer this time, more menacing. Sarah stood her ground, clutching her protective charms and chanting the incantations Mama Busi had taught her. The Tokoloshe emerged from the shadows, a twisted, grotesque figure with razor-sharp teeth and a malevolent grin. It lunged at Sarah, but she held her ground, reciting the incantations with renewed vigor. The battle was fierce, but Sarah's determination never wavered. As she chanted, the Tokoloshe began to weaken, its form flickering like a candle in the wind. With one final, defiant chant, Sarah banished the creature back into the darkness from which it came. The apartment fell silent, the air clear and light once more. Sarah collapsed onto the floor, exhausted but triumphant. She had faced the Tokoloshe and lived to tell the tale. Sarah's story became the talk of Johannesburg, a testament to the power of belief and the strength of the human spirit. She continued her work as a journalist, but with a new sense of purpose, to uncover the truths hidden in the shadows and bring light to the darkest corners of the world. The legend of the Tokoloshe lived on, but it no longer held the same power over those who knew the truth. For Sarah, the haunting was over, but the memory of those glowing red eyes would stay with her forever.